So the reason why I chose Benussi Co, actually initially I didn't. I'd actually been recommended by a friend of mine to use an individual, and she was an individual, lovely lady, but very limited resources, and I didn't know what to do, so I started that way. I think everybody in this situation is in complete anxiety overload. I certainly was, so off we went, but it was apparent within a matter of weeks that this lady just didn't have the resources to be able to give me the support that I needed. So I asked around, and I spoke to a few friends of mine who knew other people who'd been in the situation that I was going through, and a hot recommendation was to talk to Benussi Co in Birmingham. So I did. I made an appointment, I went to see them, and I thought, yep, they'll do for me. The way that Benussi Co helped in the initial stages, I guess they straightened me out. I'll put it that way. When I first met them, I was a complete stress ball. For me, unusually, right? But I was anxious, I was feeling negative. Actually, I was feeling very, very sorry for myself because the world just seemed to be collapsing, and I felt like I was falling into a big, deep black hole. And Benussi Co, and particularly Helen Jane, had a particularly good way. It's very direct, but at the same time quite sensitive, and helped me to see that the way that I was thinking about things wasn't the right way to think about things. So the initial help was in just uncluttering the brain and starting to think more clearly about, right, what is the right thing to do here? Bypass all this emotion, all this like white noise, and just get down to, right, where do you want to end up? And what is the best way for us to get there? And getting the sort of the relationship right between a healthy outcome and however the wealth was going to be split up, which for me was a secondary consideration to ensuring that all parties, particularly my children, were properly looked after in all this. I had quite a lot of negative thoughts going through my mind when I first met Benussi Co and Helen Jane. They ranged really. I was very concerned about financial outcomes. I was concerned about how much wealth there was going to be left for me and that sort of thing. And although of course that's an important consideration, I think what Helen Jane helped me to do was to get a bit of clarity in my thinking around what the law, how the law stood, what the likely outcomes were going to be, particularly since I wanted to achieve a clean break. So that was very, very helpful. I also had sort of very negative thoughts about anything to do with contact with children because I wasn't seeing my children a great deal, and I was extremely worried about that. So there's quite a lot of things that go on in our minds. I was worried about how long it was going to take. I was worried about what it was going to be like in court. This is fear of the unknown, really. And it's not the kind of thing that we want to know about. Who wants to know about separation and divorce? It's awful. That's why I think a bit of expert guidance to help you understand what it's going to be like, to prepare you for what to expect, was invaluable. At the outset, I wasn't really sure how I was going to end up in this whole thing, which way it was going to go. And Benussi Co, Helen Jane and I put our plan together. We worked that plan through. I'm not saying it wasn't stressful because it was. There were lots of times when it just felt dreadful. But we kept our heads down, kept going. And in the end, we achieved something that was the basis of at least building some sort of friendly cooperation for the future, which was really important for the children. I think both parties felt, actually, this is fine, and we're able to agree upon it. I would never, ever have got there if it hadn't been for the advice that I received from Benussi Co. If anybody that I know is unfortunate enough to be going through separation and divorce, and if they ask me my opinion on, where's a good place to go for top drawer advice, I would always suggest Benussi Co. In fact, a friend of mine went off to see Helen Jane just 2 or 3 years ago, because I do think it's vital to find a lawyer who has the right quality of experience, who is absolutely current, who knows exactly what is going on, and who's got the resources within their firm to be able to guide you through what is a veritable minefield of a process.